All right, so we're gonna do more practice with finding our zeros. So here's our first problem. And what I'm gonna do is pause the recording for a second and give you all a chance to go ahead and type that in. But just to give you the directions, you're gonna go to y equals, clear out what's in there. And remember, this right here is your variable key, the xt theta n. So you're gonna do 4x to the third minus 33x squared plus 52x minus 11, zoom 6. And again, I'm going to pause the recording here. We're just going to wait till everybody gets to this screen, okay? All right, so what I want you to do is look right here. Do you see how it crosses the x-axis between 0 and 1? That's our first one. It's not a half. It's actually not a third either. Look at the equation. What do you think it is? Why is it going to be a fourth right there? Yeah, because we have this 4 out front. So 1/4 goes in the little box. Is our countdown in order? Yes. Yes, so just go ahead and take all of those coefficients. And hey guys, what is the remainder going to be? 0. Don't get to the end and just go, oh, I know it's supposed to be 0 and just put 0. Like if it doesn't come out to 0, go back and find where your mistake is, okay? And you still have the calculator. So if you get to something where you're like, I just don't want to do that in my head, or I want to check if I'm right, type it in the calculator. It's a calculator allowed question, so I can't take it back away from you. Four, negative 32, 44, 0. Bingo. Sounds like I'm calling out bingo numbers. All right. Now, just keep going. You can't stop. You have to keep going. What do those all divide by? 4. So if you divide them by 4, it's like reducing a fraction. You're going to get 1, negative 8, 11. And then we're going to put the x's back in. And then just keep going. Now that won't factor because 11 would just split 1 and 11. 11 and 1 are not going to add and subtract to give you 8 in the middle. So instead, what do we do? If it doesn't factor, complete the square. Good. You're going to leave a gap, subtract over the 11, divide by 2 and square. 16. Is that not what you said? That is actually out. Okay, yeah, you don't want an X on there, just plus 16. I made it another color, but you can't even tell up there. All right, so blank squared, what goes in the blank? X minus 4, good. Equals negative 11 plus 16 would be 5, and then just keep going. Don't stop. You need to like make sure you get answers. Square root x minus 4 equals plus or minus. Square root of 5 won't split. If it is a number that you could split, you need to do that and reduce it, but that one doesn't. And then just add over the 4. So 4 plus and minus square root of 5. How many answers is that? That's 2, but there are supposed to be 3. So the 1/4 is the other one. Those are your 3 answers. So at the end, you just want to check that you got all of them. Let's try it again. That's what today is going to be, guys. We're just going to practice a bunch of these. It's not new information. We're just going to practice them, okay? Yeah. All right, so let's try another one. So how many answers will there be for this one? 3. I put that as a question on the test. How many answers will there be? And you put 3. I had to make it worth half a point, but you get something for that. So here's what you're going to do. Go to y equals and clear out the last problem and type this one instead. And again, I'm going to pause until everyone's screen looks like mine. All right, so hey guys, where does it hit the x-axis? And that's the point of what the calculator does for you, is it gives you that one to start out with. -2 goes in the little box. If you didn't have the calculator, what would you do? Sit there and try, what if it's 1? What if it's 2? What if it's -1? What if it's -2 all day long until you get it to work? No, the calculator gives you the first one. Is the countdown in order? No. We have 1x to the third, and then what? 0x squared, 6, and then 20. The remainder will be 0. I promise. Go ahead and find it. Go ahead and find 0. One, -2, 10. Confirmation on that? Okay. So when you put the x's back in, it's x squared minus 2x plus 10 equals 0. 10 would split 5 and 2. 5 and 2 won't add and subtract to be 2. I'm telling you, you're going to have to complete the square. Like I'm telling you that. So leave a gap, slide the 10 to the other side. It'll be a -10. I tried pink, that doesn't show up. Let me try green, see if it's any better. All right, divide by 2 and square. So what do you add to both sides? Just one. Good. And it'll always be adding because when you square something, it's always positive. And that didn't really show up either. All right, blank squared. What goes in the blank? X minus 1 equals -9. And just keep going. Keep going. Keep going. What's the next step? Square root. So it'll be x minus 1 equals plus and minus 3i. Hey guys, they came out to be imaginary. Can we just like have a full circle moment here? When you look at the calculator, do you see how you only see one x-intercept? That's because the other two are imaginary, okay? And then last step, add over the 1. So 1 plus and minus 3i, that's 2 answers. The third one is the -2 that was in the little box in the first place. This is a drill and practice thing, but once you get good at it, you can kind of just churn them out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a process and you just do the process. I had to flip over. I can only fit 2 of them on one piece of paper. So as you're writing, I'm just going to ask you, how many answers would you get for this one? Get 4. And once you write it, and everyone writes at a different pace, I'm just telling you the next step. In your calculator, go back to your y equals, clear it out, and type this one. And then I'm going to pause until everyone gets to the same place as me. If you make a mistake, oh, let me go back to y equals. You don't have to delete the entire thing and start over. You can delete one thing at a time. Watch me do this real quick. Say I didn't want that 6 to be there. Do you see this key right here that says DEL? Just watch this for a second. If you hit delete on that 6, do you see how just the 6 goes away and not the whole thing? It's cool, right? Now, if I want to put it back, I'm going to hover over that X. Do you see what's right above delete? What do you think that stands for? Insert. So how do I get to that? Do you guys know how to do that? Second. So if I hit second delete, then I can put the 6 back in there. So you can delete and insert so you don't have to clear the whole thing out. All right. Anyway, it's going to redraw this here. So guys, look. Do you see how there's an x-intercept here, but it's like in between 2 numbers? And there's another one here, but it's in between 2 numbers. So I don't want those. I want the other one. What's this one? Okay, now hold on a second. 3 is going to go in the little box, but I want you to understand what's going on here. These ones are those weird plus and minus square root answers. Do you understand that connection? That's what that's like. It comes out plus and minus square root of whatever. It's a weird decimal number. That's why it's in between the two. All right. So anyway, 3 is what's going to go in the little box. I just want you to understand what you're looking at. So copy down. Oh, is the countdown in order? I think it is, right? All right. So copy down all your coefficients. The remainder will be 0. Go for it. Now I need to divide again. Why is that? I need it to be squared. So the force I need to do again. Now, these ones that are in between don't help me, but what do we know about 3? What do you see the graph is? It does what? It's a bounce. Means it counts twice. The multiplicity there is 2. So you get to do 3 again. If it bounces there, you get to do it again. And again, the remainder will be 0. And then we'll have gotten it down to squared, and we'll be able to do the problem. So this would be x squared plus no x's, which you can write plus 0x if you want, but I kind of just encourage you to skip that. Minus 2 equals 0. So actually you don't need to factor and you don't need to complete the square because it just turned out real simple. You can just sort of solve it. What would you do to both sides? Yeah, plus 2. This is your square root property is what that's called. Square root, and so you get plus and minus square root of 2. So again, just to make sure you understand what you're looking at on the graph, this 0 right here is negative square root of 2. And then this one is positive square root of 2. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yes. Like, I want the visual to make sense. All right. And then your other answers are 3 and 3. You have to write it twice. Twins still count as 2 people. If you don't write it twice, you didn't get a total of 4. So just write it twice. Okay. We'll do one more. Yeah. So again, everyone writes at a different pace and types at a different pace. So I'm just going to say the next step. After you write it, you want to go to y equals, clear that out, and type in the new equation. Going on here? Yeah. All right. So what's going on or not going on, I guess. So okay, that means this calculator is now useless. Set that aside. There is no synthetic division. You cannot put a number in the little box. That just went out the window. So think back to your toolbox. What else is at our disposal that we can do? Factoring. Draw your 2 sets of parentheses equals 0. How do you split an x to the 4th? X squared. And I made them perfect squares. They will be because I wrote the problem and I'm trying to be nice. Okay. Be perfect squares. That multiply together to be 36. 9 times 4. And 9 plus 4 is 13 for in the middle. And then you just set both of those equal to 0 and just keep going. Just keep going. Oh, and how many answers should we get? 4. You're going to get 2 from each of them because it'll be a plus and a minus. Bless you. And what reinforces what we looked at on the graph is that the graph did not touch the x-axis. And to be clear, this graph exists. It's just up 36 units here. I'll change my window and show it to you so you can see the graph. See, like it exists up there. It just doesn't touch the x-axis. So that's why they were all imaginary. But we got 4 answers, plus and minus 3i, plus and minus 2i.